Once again, this month was an amazing month for flipping Pokemon cards. In this video, I'm going to show you guys what my top 5 Pokemon card flips were in the month of May 2024. Before we jump in, it's important to realize that the market can move quickly and aggressively. Just because these flips worked for me in May 2024 does not mean that they will work at whatever time you are watching this. Make sure to do your own research before making any purchases. I sold 60 graded Pokemon cards for a gross sales amount of $7,713.05. After eBay took all of their fees and then you subtract my overall cost total, I was left with $1,874.18 in profit. Despite selling less cards than last month, we actually profited over $100 more with a profit margin percentage of 40.7%. Now that we've reviewed the overall numbers, let's jump into the top 5 flips of the month. The number 5 flip is a PSA 10 Mega Gengar EX. This ultra rare card released in the Japanese set Phantom Gate in 2014, and it currently has a PSA 10 population of 381 PSA 10s, which is kind of a lot compared to some of the cards we saw last month, but definitely not a lot compared to a lot of the modern cards coming out today. Obviously, Gengar is one of those Gen 1 upper echelon Pokemon when it comes to popularity. There's a lot of buyers and collectors out there for Gengar, so I like to pick up minty looking Gengar cards whenever I can. Usually I don't really dive into the X and Y era, but this one was so cool, and potentially with Megas coming back with the announcement of that new Pokemon game, who knows what the Megas are going to do going forward, especially of the most popular Pokemon, of which Gengar is one of them. One of the unique things that I really enjoy about these Mega cards is the Japanese cards actually have the English wording of the move across the artwork, where in English it actually has the Japanese wording of the move across the artwork. It's a fun little stylistic choice. I was lucky enough to find a gem mint copy of this card for $12.75, which means after the $15 grading fee, I was all in on this card for $27.75. I sold this Mega Gengar EX for $125, and after eBay took all their fees out, that left me a total profit amount of $79.57. That's a profit margin percentage of about 286.7%. Apart from just the raw numbers, I'm actually going to share with you guys 2 other metrics that I think are important when determining if you actually want to flip these cards or if you want to list them, buy it now, or auction. So for each of these flips, I'm going to share how long it actually took between the card being graded to the card selling. And secondly, I'll let you guys know what this card recently sold for at auction versus my buy it now sales, and we'll get to see if I would have lost money if I would have auctioned these cards, or if I still would have come out on top even with an auction style listing. I graded this Gengar on February 28th and the card sold on May 23rd. That means that it sat on my eBay for sale for 3 months before it was purchased. Now I was able to sell this card buy it now for $125. The last sold auction actually sold just a few days before my card did for $71.02. Now I still would have made money had I auctioned the card for $70, but I'm glad that I held on and was able to maximize the profit out of my listing. The number 4 flip is this PSA 10 Celebi and Venusaur GX alternate art. This beautiful tag team card came from the 2018 set Tag Bolt and has a PSA 10 population of 536. Ever since I got back into the hobby a couple years ago, I looked at these alternate arts from the Sun and Moon era as too expensive for me actually. But recently I was browsing through some Venusaur cards and I saw a couple minty Venusaur Celebi at a decent price, and thankfully PSA gave them both PSA Gem Mint 10 grades. It can be pretty difficult to find well-centered GX cards. It's very easy to see if a GX card is off-center, and I feel like PSA can be pretty strict on the ones that are a little shifted up or a little shifted left, because they are so easy to see with those parallel lines right next to the borders. I got this card back from PSA on March 1st, and it sold on May 5th. 2 months is definitely not bad, especially in comparison of some of the cards from last month that were around for nearly a freaking year. I bought this card for $41.52. That means after grading fees of $15, we are all in for $56.52. I then was able to sell the card for $170.99, which gave me, after eBay fees, a total profit amount of $87.02. That is a profit margin percentage of 154%. Unfortunately, I did check eBay last solds and 130 point, but I could not find a recent auction sale for this card in PSA 10. The number 3 flip of this month is this PSA 10 Raichu Level X from the 2008 set Stormfront. This electrifying first edition card has a PSA 10 population of 117. In my last big purchase of middle era cards, I actually purchased quite a few Level X's, but Raichu and only a couple others were minty enough to send into PSA to hopefully get a PSA 10, and luckily I was able to get a Raichu PSA 10 as well as Alakazam and a couple other amazing Level X's. I got this card back from PSA on May 16th and it sold on May 24th, just over a week after I listed it up on eBay. That's exactly the type of turnaround time that we want, and definitely not the the turnaround time we typically see on a lot of these mid-era cards. But hey, I will absolutely take it. I found a minty copy of this Raichu Level X for $29.76. After the $15 grading fee, our all-in cost is $44.76. I was able to sell the card for $160, and after eBay took all their fees, that gave us a total profit amount of $88.18 and a profit margin percentage of 197%. This card did sell twice at auction over the last couple months. Unfortunately, they were shipping from the United Kingdom, so it was a very expensive shipping cost, which can pretty drastically affect the card's sale price. But the last one to sell at auction only got 2 bids and sold for $104.40, significantly under my $160 sale price from my buy it now listing. The number 2 flip of the month is this PSA 10 Vaporeon Holo from one of my favorite EX era sets from 2005, Golden Sky Silvery Ocean. This card has our lowest population so far of only 83 in PSA 10. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I get a cool Vaporeon card in, it sells almost immediately after I put it up on eBay. It makes me think that possibly after Umbreon, you think Vaporeon is the most popular evolution? You think it beats out Espeon? Not for me personally, but the Golden Sky Silvery Ocean evolution cards are so beautiful. The Flareon is incredible. The Vaporeon's amazing. The Jolteon looks so good. It's definitely one of, if not the standout set from the EX era. This Vaporeon card actually came from the exact same return as the Raichu Level X. So I got this card back and listed it on eBay on May 16th, and it actually sold 1 day sooner on May 23rd. Another quick flip that was only up on eBay for about a week. I purchased this Vaporeon Holo for $19.32, and after the $15 grading fee, that leaves us at $34.32, my total cost all in. I was able to sell the card for $160, and after eBay took all their fees, my total profit on this gorgeous unlimited Vaporeon from Golden Sky Silvery Ocean was $100.93, leaving me with my highest profit margin percentage of the video of 294.1%. Much like the Raichu Level X, the only auction sale of this card was out of the United Kingdom. So again, it had that high shipping cost that can drive down the actual auction off price. But that card sold at the beginning of April for only $77.65. My card sold for almost $85 more. Buy it now. Last but not least, we have the number 1 flip of this month, and that flip happens to be a PSA 10 Charizard from Japanese Stormfront from 2008. This unlimited PSA 10 has 188 copies in the population report. This card is so cool because Arita got to come back and reimagine his original base set artwork 12 years later, and this is what it came out as. It's so freaking awesome. One thing that's really unique is the Japanese version of this card has a full sheen holo across the front. So there's a nice glittery star holo pattern that's all the way across the card, but this actually makes it quite difficult to grade or to find gem mint copies to get that PSA 10. This is the second one of these cards that I've graded. The first one got a PSA 9, this one got a PSA 10. This was a huge surprise. PSA actually reached out to me and told me that there was an upcharge on my order, and I didn't know what card that was for. But when I took a look, I saw that this card got the PSA 10, and that blew me away because there was a little bit of a problem on it that I wasn't quite sure if PSA was going to catch or not. And apparently, either they caught it and they gave it a 10 anyway, or they didn't catch it at all. I was very surprised, but very happy to get this back in a PSA 10 case. Definitely one of those cards that's pretty hard to let go of as a Charizard aficionado. I got this Charizard back from PSA on April 29th, and it sold on May 22nd. So just under 1 month, about 3 weeks, it was up on eBay before it sold. I bought this Charizard card for $134.14. Definitely on the upper end in terms of price range that I'm comfortable spending right now for one single card. So the total cost on this one is a little different because I got upcharged to the $75 tier. So we have to add $75 for grading from PSA, and our total cost then is $209.14. This card would have been a prime candidate for the eBay vault, but unfortunately the eBay vault is now dead to me in my business as PSA took it over and made it completely unviable for me to use at this point going forward. So I had to sell this myself through my eBay account. I sold the card for $769.99, and after eBay took all their fees, which is over $100 in fees on a card like this, the total profit on this card was $448.71. That gave me a profit margin percentage of 214.6%. The most recent auction of this card sold shortly after my card sold, and it sold for $630. That's $140 less than my buy it now listing sold for. So there you have it, guys. We had another extremely successful month. Those are my top 5 flips for the month of May. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps me out. And in case you missed it, make sure to check out my top 5 flips video for April.